This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard with you live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. An absolute banger coming up over the next 3 hours. Tons on Week 15 National Football League. College bowl games begin tomorrow. We'll spend time talking about that sport. Great guests on the show today. Evan Loring in 30 minutes, a Boston-based tech entrepreneur, had a hell of a weekend last weekend, and now he has $1 million on a game this weekend. I think the wrong team is favored. He'll tell you which team that's going to be when he joins the program. And if it wins, half of that is going to go to a local animal shelter in the city where he lives. It's unbelievable out of him. And if it loses, then what? Mike Somich on the program, VSiN host, his best bets for the week. Ross Tucker, long time no speak, CBS Sports NFL commentator. He has called plenty of Army games, and he's going to be on Jacksonville and the Jets. And our buddy Ryan Kramer, sports gambling podcast, every Friday night here on VSiN, Week 15 props and bets with him. I give up. I'm no longer involved with anything Tampa Bay Buccaneers related. Yeah. And it's a shame for me personally to get. It took 15 weeks to get here, but I'm so over this team, and I put too much time, money, and energy to get fried one final time into one team like last night. So good riddance. I hope they miss the playoffs now, Paulie.
Yep. That was Humans was killing the game on the pregame show. I'm like, hold on. Every time these teams get together, something magical happens, and we could get some fireworks in this one. And Cousins goes back, turns back the clock. He was awesome. The player props that hit. Octopus was trending. We had it all. But you're right. They were 6-2. And now between the Mayfield playing at 60%, what Ira Kaufman said, the defense is terrible. It's either Pitts over the middle or it's a dump off to Robinson. It shouldn't be this complicated. But you blow the 14-point lead. You still get the gift where Atlanta goes for 2 and couldn't get it. Horrible job with the clock. It was but they're not out of it because if you take care of business against Carolina, you're going to somehow win this lousy division and sneak in. But that's just between barely beating Arizona, losing to the Saints, losing to Atlanta. They're just ready to say, we're just not that good, and we're ready to get the reservations and set the tee times up.
Tip of the cap to Atlanta for pulling that game out. You're right. Kirk Cousins was really good last night. I loved watching Kyle Pitts explode. What a game out of him. 11 for $166. What did 2 touchdowns pay on him?
20. 3 was a 110 to 1.
Okay. What was 150 plus yards?
That I didn't see.
I mean, come on. Are you serious with that? And he looked like the dude that we've been waiting to explode for 5 years now. Finally came on last night on a national TV game and did so. But everything about the Buccaneers side, it was an abomination. The players were not great, and then the coaching staff on top of it. And I'll run all of that down coming up in a second. But I found this intriguing. What a spot in the year for Todd Bowles to go scorched earth on his own players. And this is what he told the media after the game.
What do you tell them in the locker room after a game like this?
It's inexcusable. You don't make excuses. You got to care enough where the shit hurts. You got to care enough where the shit hurts. It got to mean something to you. It's more than a job. It's your livelihood. How well do you know your job? How well can you do your job? Well, you can't sugarcoat it. It was inexcusable, and there's no answer for it. There's no excuse for it. That's what you tell them in the locker room. Look in the mirror.
That's like the scene in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Incredible.
Steve Martin at the reservation to get the car.
Great call. That's 7 F-bombs, my friend.
In 30 seconds.
That's right. That's impressive, and you don't expect it out of that guy. But that goes what Baker said a couple weeks ago about how it's supposed to hurt and how you're supposed to feel after a loss. But it's always interesting where you kind of remember bizarre football games or meltdowns, and the Bucs had been 124-1 since 1991 when leading by 14 or more in the fourth quarter. The other loss was 2003 to Peyton Manning. You remember the game and where you were.
Yeah,
so as do I.
Yeah, I was watching at the Palms here in town when the Palms was the casino to be at, right? And a guy I was watching with at the bar there, that one center bar area, had 10 dimes on the game, on the Buccaneers. That was a fun one to lose.
Couldn't get a stop?
No,
Horrific
could not get a
meltdown.
stop. And Peyton,
I mean, right. Well, when something like that happens, number one, it's the first time since 2016 a team won a game with 19 penalties. The last time was also against Tampa Bay. The Raiders did it. How does Mooney get that fumble? There's 5 Buccaneers
7.
right there.
I think 7.
I mean, come on, at least 5. I retweeted the picture. It's like, you got to be kidding. And then Cousins jumps on it with that fumble. And, I mean, everything had to go. The Pitts touchdown. Is the ass down or the elbow? Elbow, ass. What came down? I mean, everything happened, and it just covered somebody. This team has stunk all year on offense, and you can't get one stop here when it counts.
They did that. They got whatever they wanted offensively. Almost had like 500 yards in the game. It was Bijan all game long. It was Kyle Pitts, like you said.
Oh, the props were fantastic.
Oh, I mean,
everything we talked about.
How about down the sideline?
What are you doing?
How does he? Now, I don't know. That's a touchdown.
Probably, though. I think he gets in.
He might.
I don't know. What are you trying to do there?
I don't understand that.
God.
I know. Otherwise, Chargers going to be there with 6-1, but he went flying over the receptions prop. But so Bowles does that. And again, think about this for a second. Atlanta burned all 3 timeouts before the 2-minute warning. They couldn't stop the clock. 2nd and 14 with 2:24 left. Run the ball, you idiots. What are you doing? How do you let this team drop back to pass? Incomplete pass, sack, punt with 1:49 left. No. You run the ball instead. You melt the clock down to a minute or below. Then you punt back to Atlanta, and they're not going to have much time to go down and do what they did.
Yeah.
And then they have a 3rd and 28 and then a 4th and 14.
Come on.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
Dump off to Pitts, gets half of it, and then the throw to Sills. You can't give up a 3rd and 28 and a 4th and 14.
Absolutely, under no circumstance.
Yeah. And the Saints did the same thing the prior week. Just run the ball. 2-minute warning. Tampa's out of timeouts. They threw it on 3rd and long and gave them a chance, although they got to stop. So after the game, Cousins and Pitts are on the dais and on the postgame show. And Gonzalez had the question to Pitts about, we've been begging them to throw you the ball. We wanted you to get more touches. This is what we were asking for, and they got it. And like Cousins was pissed off and made a face. I think there's a little bit more of what's going on, what Chart said about, does Pitts really want it? Because I think he has the talent, and I just think maybe the contract year, he has to close strong.
Yeah, I can buy into that.
Like, why does it take so long? Why are these games, these glimpses, and so many drops, and why you go through 8-9 games of a season, you don't do anything?
It's a fair point, Paul.
I saw it. To me, it's Cousins' takeaway is, believe me,
we
try, and it's just, you got to turn your key too.
Okay, am I mistaken by saying this? Watching Kyle Pitts play last night, he could be like a top 5, 8, 10 weapon in the entire league.
I understand the scheme sucks. I know that.
Okay,
Art Smith,
yes.
That's fair. That's fair. But you are right. You should not. You watch that game? How does that team have 4 wins?
That's a great question.
And you didn't even have London. So I know Tampa's horrific defensively, but there is no way that's a 4-win team. And it's on Morris, too.
Oh, big time.
I don't know why he's going, smiling at the camera afterwards. Okay, congrats. You beat the team that fired you. But, you're going to go win 5 games. That's it. Come on.
There's also this. Mike Evans certainly was at the forefront on the Buccaneers side. They were pissed off after the game. They were. I think because of how the coaching unraveled at the end. Like, there's no way you blow that game or give them that. You're basically telling Atlanta, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you the best scenario possible to come back and win the game right now because we're going to be complete fools out here, not run the clock. I'll tell you, and they have not been covering numbers here at all recently. If they lose to Carolina next week, you want to talk about 1, 2, 3 Cancun in weeks 17 and 18. Mm-hmm. This team would wave the white flag, I believe, and completely give up on the coaching staff and the season.
And I think Bowles is in trouble now. Big trouble.
Oh, he has to be.
Yep. You're a defensive guy. They're horrendous defensively. You can't give that up. But what happened? I mean, it's what Sills did, what Robinson did, and what Pitts did. That's unacceptable. So the tirade afterwards and all the F-bombs, but suddenly he has gone from Coach of the Year candidate to definitely being on the hot seat.
Now, they might get some help in their division this week because the Panthers are playing at the Saints. They need a Panthers loss. Well, guess what? They are favored, small favorites. They were 6-point favorites, give or take, against the Saints the first time they played a few weeks ago at home. Lost outright. That was their 11th straight loss when favored. And overall, Carolina is 16-34 ATS as a favorite going all the way back to 2016. This is a losable game, certainly, for the Panthers.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Chuck's playing well. This is huge for the win total. I'll bring up the first quarter thing again. They've been outscored 99-26, 11-2 first quarter money line. Yet to lead after the end of the first quarter, but they got the money last week against Tampa. But this is a tough game, and this is a tough week. I mean, these point spreads are crazy in all these games.
Put it this way, Paulie, I looked at the 5-team money line parlay today of all the favorites by, like, Houston's 9.5, but all these other favorites are 12.5, 13.5 points. Here at Circa, it pays, give or take, minus 110. Other books, it's touching 140.
Mm-hmm.
So a 5-team money line parlay, you can't even get even money on it this week.
And think of the quarterbacks that you're going against. You know, Cook, Riley Leonard, some of these guys.
Yep.
And how bad these teams have been.
I almost want to do it just because you're going against the bad quarterbacks and just the absolute stink bombs of the league.
Yeah.
In rematches, by the way, same season rematches, the Saints 16-5 straight up, 17-4 ATS going back. It's the season to come together over your holiday favorites at Starbucks. Warm up with a creamy caramel brulee latte. Get festive with an iced gingerbread chai, or share a velvety peppermint mocha. Had one of those bad boys earlier today. Absolutely delicious. Together is the best place to be at Starbucks. Look, I mean, I'm all for what Mike Montesano said the other day. Try to keep it as healthy as possible during the holiday season. Make sure you get a couple of workouts in. I try to eat as healthy as possible, but I said, I've told you before, I love coffee, and the holiday drinks are so good.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Get after it.
I have to have them.
Love the bagels, too. Don't forget the bagel.
Up next, more games, Week 15 NFL. Even in a plus matchup, the projections at vsin.com have the star running back going way under his rushing yards prop.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Always follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Thanks for checking in here on a Football Friday, watching on YouTube TV, listening on SiriusXM channel 158, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, or any of our great affiliates across the country. Heavy NFL coming up this hour, some of the marquee games that we have. You're going to hear from Nigel Seeley, some best bets in soccer this weekend. And right now we go out to the Progressive guest line. VSiN host Mike Somich joins the program now. His show, along with Matt Brown, is called Ready, Set, Bet on the weekends. And also does a podcast here with the network. And Patrick Maher, twice a week, Sharp Money is the name of the podcast. Somich, good talking to you, man. The game that I was talking about before the break, I said you're not afraid to lay 2 touchdowns with the team this week. A lot of crazy point spreads. Huge this weekend. But which big favorite do you really like?
Yeah, a lot of backup quarterbacks as well leading to it. For me, it's the Seattle Seahawks here. Happy to lay the 13.5 once it's announced that we're going to see Phil Rivers as the starting quarterback, which is wild to say the least. This is a 45-year-old man who is eligible for the Hall of Fame this year, going to be starting a football game in Seattle against what I believe is one of the best defenses in the NFL. I've got Seattle atop my power rankings right now. And while their offense has sputtered the last couple weeks, they're still winning by margin because of how good this defense is. They're setting up short fields off turnovers. They stop the run very well. This is going to be a spot where Rivers actually has to come out and throw the football successfully if he wants to possibly win the game. I just don't see how that's possible. His arm was cooked when we saw him 5 years ago. I can't imagine he has any more arm strength than he did back then. He doesn't know his current playing weight because he's gotten a little out of shape, yet you're going to throw him in against a ferocious pass rush, specifically up the middle, which is just going to cause all kinds of trouble for this Colts offense. Happy to lay the 13.5 with Seattle here, a team that can win by margin based off their defense alone.
How about a couple totals now? And one of the marquee games, again, Denver, 10 in a row, yet a home dog. What about the total in this Green Bay-Denver game?
Is there 2 of the elite defenses in the NFL? Yet we're on the wrong side of 42 in my mind here. I was expecting a 41.5, 41 type of total in this game, and I get it. The Green Bay offense has big plays that they're capable of making, and this Denver offense is at least versatile in the amount of wide receivers they can get the ball into. But I don't love the way Bo Nix has played. He's going to face heavy pressure in this game. The Green Bay defense has been good stopping the run. On the other side, you've got a Green Bay offense that really relies on big plays. It's something that Denver is able to shut down fairly well. They also should be able to pressure Jordan Love with their 2 elite edge rushers. This just plays out like a defensive game on both sides. Also a little worried about Green Bay looking ahead to Chicago here. This is a tough spot for the Packers. They played in Detroit on Thanksgiving. Then they came home. They took on the Bears. Now they've got to go to Denver, and then they've got Chicago on deck. In the grand scheme of things, this game doesn't mean that much to the Green Bay Packers. It means a lot more here to the Denver Broncos, who are trying to essentially push forward to that number one AFC seed. Next week's game against the Bears is the one that's important for them. I think both of the defenses have success in this spot. I'll go under 43 in the Denver-Green Bay game.
All right. How about an over? Shanahan and the Niners off the bye. It was a great running game by Tennessee last week and scoring a lot of points. You expect points in this one. Walk us through Tennessee-San Francisco total.
Another one, I'm surprised we're on the wrong side of 45 here. I thought this was going to be around 46, 46 and a half. We're just hanging out at 44 and a half here. We talked about this team in San Francisco being an over team once they lost Bosa at the edge. They lost their number one linebacker. This is a defense that's just not very good right now, bottom 8 in the NFL. I don't trust the Titans to be able to put up a ton of points, but I think they're able to have enough success, specifically if Ward has time back there, which he should against a very bad San Francisco pass rush. You flip it to the other side. This is as healthy as the 49ers have been on the offensive side of the football all year long. We've got Pearsall, who's back. He's going to be much better off the bye. You've got Kittle. You've got McCaffrey, Purdy back in there. This is a spot where San Francisco has the opportunity to put up somewhere in the mid-30s, and this is a Titans team that's going to be forced to throw the football down the stretch in this game. I think they have the opportunity to put up 17, 21 points here. I think this number is still a couple points too short. So I like the over quite a bit here, 44 and a half in the Titans and the 49ers.
Okay. Are you surprised that Baltimore not only favored here, but took a little bit of money this week as well? Who knows? Maybe it had to do with Joe Burrow's comments about the future. But I'm looking at a couple of different shops here in Las Vegas. It's 3 now, Mike. Westgate, South Point, each have 3 here on Baltimore. Are you surprised by that?
I am. This is one we talked a lot about on Sharp Money yesterday, and I like the Bengals side here. I would bet them at 2.5. I am holding out to see if I can get a flat 3 here at some point, because a couple books, you mentioned it, a couple in Vegas there, a couple in a far away place have gone to 3. It feels like that's going to be the move here. I don't understand the love for the Ravens still. I struggled being able to try and figure out how to power rate them before last week, before that Steelers game. It kept me off the Steelers. I very much regret that. I had the Bengals against the Ravens. I don't see how when we flip home field, we're just expecting this to be a better version of the Baltimore Ravens. Feels like too much prior being taken into account here. This still is not a good defense from Baltimore. Even with the health that they have gotten, they have not really improved metrically on the defensive side of the ball. And I don't know how anyone can watch the offense for Baltimore and tell me that Lamar Jackson is anywhere close to healthy. Yep. It's going to come out after the season that he's been dealing with 3-4 injuries. We've seen the knee, we've seen the ankle, we've seen the hammy. All of these different things have been ailing him. When you look at him trying to escape the pocket, when you look at him trying to extend plays, he is just not the same Lamar Jackson that we have seen the last couple seasons. The market doesn't know how to rate him. I've downgraded this offense pretty significantly the last 2 weeks because of where I believe Lamar is playing at the current value. You flip to the other side, I get the Burrow comments. People don't love it. He's going to be out there. He's going to be playing. And once they snap the football, he's going to be giving his all to try and make sure this Cincinnati team can keep that slim hope of winning the division still alive here. I think the Bengals able to get it done. I like him on the money line. I'm waiting for a 3 here, though. I want to see if I can get that flat 3 before I put the Cincinnati side into my account.
I was surprised what I watched Monday night with Herbert taking off, but you have a good angle here on what you want to do with the quarterbacks in the Kansas City game.
Doesn't it feel like both these guys are just going to run a bunch? You look at these offensive lines, they both stink. They're not good at all. And you've got a Chiefs team that is top 10 in blitz rate. So you're going to see a Chiefs offense try and heat Herbert up. He is going to get out at least 3 or 4 times in this game, be able to scramble, be able to use his legs. He was over 60 yards on Monday night. His rushing prop sitting at 24.5. That is just drastically too low in my mind. You flip it over to the other side, and you look at what Patrick Mahomes has done over the last 3 to 4 weeks, and when games are absolutely critical for the Kansas City Chiefs to win, he uses his legs. And again, bad offensive line. You have a good rush from the edges of the Los Angeles Chargers. Another situation where I think Mahomes is going to be forced to extend plays with his legs. I think both of these quarterbacks go over their rushing props. So I'll take over 24.5 for Herbert, over 21.5 for Mahomes. And then I'm going to pair them together, and I'm going to push it up just a little bit here. If you take Herbert, 30-plus rush yards, Mahomes, 25-plus rush yards, you parlay them together, you get 4-1. That is a wild price in my mind for two of the quarterbacks that could possibly lead their team in rushing in this game.
I love that angle. By the way, I'm also, as you were talking, I'm looking for most rushing yards in this game.
I like it.
Right?
Yep.
Because there still might be
I
a
had Mahomes
timeshare.
last week. That was painful.
Oh, man. But so I love that angle. And there's an angle where they're going to split carries again in the Chargers backfield. Maybe the leading rusher, not named Patrick Mahomes, as a running back, has like 35 yards. Great breakdown. Love the analysis. And I think that's something that I'm going to have to add for it as well.
Yeah, you've got two backfields that are going to split the props there. And when you look at, or split the running attempts, if you look at, I'm seeing if we can have it now. It's not listed yet for leading rusher. Last week, Mahomes was 45-1 to lead the game in rushing.
Oh.
And unfortunately, I don't remember who they were playing, but last week, the other running back from the other team was able to end up number one in the game, and Mahomes ended up being second. But I wouldn't be shocked if either of these quarterbacks lead their team. The question is, which one do you want to bet in that most rushing yards in the game market?
Okay. You like Stroud this week? Texans laying 9.5 against Arizona?
Yeah, look, this is a really interesting spot because I hear a lot of people talking about Woody Marks props, and I get it. But Woody Marks is banged up, and Chubb is banged up. And what most people don't realize, this Houston team actually has a higher pass over expectation rate than the league average. So they're throwing the football more than you would expect in non-throwing situations. This is an Arizona Cardinals defense that cannot stop the pass. We saw the Rams absolutely light them up last week. I understand the spread is 9.5, so you're looking at this and you're saying, well, what if Houston just decides to run it out? I don't think that's going to be the strategy here. I think this is a Houston team that's aggressive throwing the football, and it's a Cardinals team that can't rush the passer. That's going to give C.J. Stroud time to throw, time to take shots down the field. If you look at his EPA, he is an elite passer when he has time to throw. This number is way too low for me. Sitting at 226.5 passing yards, I think he's going to fly over this. I played up to 250 on him. This is a very good spot for C.J. Stroud, even though it looks like it's not a situation you're going to throw the football a lot in a blowout.
I like Robinson a lot. You're going against Washington's 30th ranked defense, but you're finding another way to attack it from a Giants wide receiver.
Yeah, look, give me Slayton in this spot. He's sitting at 35.5 receiving yards. I think that's way too low against a very bad Commanders defense. We've seen Slayton get shots down the field. To me, he is the one who's going to get more of the big play possibility here. That means his upside significantly higher, especially if you're looking at a ladder here. So I'll take Slayton over 35.5, and then I'll go to 60-plus yards at plus 250 as well. I think this is the best same-game parlay game of the week. If you're looking to find like a bomber same-game parlay, this is the 32nd and 31st ranked defenses since week 9. These are two very bad defenses. You've got McLaurin in there. I like Singletary to get a run inside the red zone. I think his touchdown price at 125 is pretty nice there. I like Slayton quite a bit. You can look at Dart rushing yards. I think this game's going to have a lot of offense.
Hey, Mike, awesome spot as always. Love having you on every single Friday. Thanks for the time. Best of luck this weekend, okay?
You got it. Good luck this weekend, boys.
There you go. Mike Somich, host of Ready, Set, Bet with Matt Brown on the weekends here on VSiN, and also twice a week with Sharp Money podcast. Get it wherever you get them. He does it with Patrick Maher. Okay. Yeah, I absolutely love the angle with Mahomes and Herbert there. How can you not?
Yeah.
Paul, if that was a primetime game, you'd be doing backflips for it.
Yeah, you know it. I know.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. It's a solid case, and I think we could see a ton of field goals, too. Check out Bet365 for that stuff.
Yeah, I get those.
Someone it's 3-4 on their own, like the last game.
They probably let you climb the ladder with just for the game, not the individual kicker on either side. More games coming up next. All right, we have two teams at home this weekend, as Paulie mentioned earlier, 10-plus wins. But our dogs, I'll give you one guess how this situation is done over the years. Tell you coming up here on VSiN.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Busy hour on tap. Marquee Games NFL coming up in 15 minutes. Ryan Kramer, long shot bets coming up bottom of the hour. VSiN host, sports gambling podcast as well. Our best bets before we get out of here. And right now we head out to the Progressive guest line to start the hour with Ross Tucker. Been on the show several times. Been a minute though. He's the host of the Ross Tucker podcast. He calls college games. He calls NFL games. You can follow him on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. Ross, good afternoon. Good to talk to you again. How you been?
It is fantastic to talk with you guys. Always been way too long. Thank you guys so much for having me again.
You bet. Pleasure. So you're in Jacksonville. We'll get to that coming up in a minute. Jags and the Jets. However, you have called Army-Navy games in the past, and you've called plenty of Army games overall. I happened to go to 2 of these like 7, 8, 9 years ago, and it was unbelievable. And I said in the last hour, like, if you ever have a chance to go, you have to go. What are your thoughts overall on the experience and the game that we have coming up tomorrow?
Well, it's a great point. It's my single favorite day of the year when I get a chance to go. I believe I went 8 straight years. I think the first 3 I was on sideline, which was a really cool experience. The next 5 I was in the booth. Unfortunately, this will be the second year in a row where, because of my NFL assignment for CBS, that I'm not able to be a part of the radio broadcast for Army-Navy. What I tell everybody is, if you ever want to really feel patriotism and that spirit of we're all in this together, that's the Army-Navy game. I think we all recognize, with politics being the way they are and the news media being the way it is, that it's a divisive society. If you ever want to feel like, okay, these people are going to go at each other for 3.5 hours, but ultimately we all recognize we're still on the same team, we're still all in this together, that is the Army-Navy game. These guys are not coming in via the portal. They're not leaving via the portal. They're not allowed to get NIL. They don't have agents. This is as pure as it gets from a football standpoint. Love everything about it. The fact that every single midshipman and cadet is there and they're in those 2 end zones makes for an absolutely electric atmosphere. I cannot possibly highly recommend it enough to have it on your bucket list.
They're very good.
Yeah,
Strong answer.
strong.
How about Navy up to a 7-point favorite?
Well, so Navy has a really good team. They've kind of been growing for this year, building up to this. So I don't get to do this game on radio, but I did do Air Force Navy and Air Force Army for CBS. So I've seen both these teams play against Air Force. Navy is the more talented team. Navy is the more senior-laden team. But that was Army last year.
Yep.
That was exactly what you said about Army. But now, remember last year, Army had played the week before in the conference championship game against Tulane and had beaten them. That's a big difference, okay? Having 2 weeks with the sole focus for Army-Navy versus having to play in that conference championship game. But the reality is Navy really took it to them last year. And I think Navy's the better team this year. But this game has a funny way of, the underdog finding a way to win the game. That would surprise me a little bit if Army wins, because Navy is so talented, especially at quarterback. Blake Horvath is fantastic. It feels like this is Navy's year. But last year was, like I said, Army's year, Army's special season that unfortunately ended with a loss in this game. So what's weird is last year, I think Army was 12-1 or something, and then they lost this game. Whereas this year they could be 7-5, but if they win the Commander-in-Chief trophy, meaning they beat both Air Force and Navy, on some level that's a more successful season for Army than last year when they went 12-1 and won the American.
Well said.
Yes.
Ross Tucker, our guest, he's on the Progressive Guest Line. Follow him on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. So you are calling Jacksonville and the Jets this weekend. And what have the discussions been like with you and the crew leading into this game coming up on Sunday? Because you're going to get an undrafted free agent for the first time in like 50 years here for the Jets playing quarterback. And by the way, Jacksonville, they have some pretty sneaky good numbers with a lot of their team.
It's a terrific point. 2 things. Number one, I remember what it was like to start my first game. And I don't know how many people in the history of the world can say that they started an NFL game. It's not that many, actually, if you look it up. So I'm thrilled that Brady Cook is getting this opportunity. This is a check it off the bucket list of life accomplishments. He's starting an NFL game at quarterback, which is incredible. And you never know. You never know what he can do. Look, I loved Brady Cook at Missouri. I mean, he was fun to watch at Missouri. So we'll see what he can do with a full week of reps, full week of practice, and see what he can get done. It won't be easy, though, against this Jaguars team. I don't know why, guys. I think maybe because the Texans' defense is that good or because the Colts signed Phillip Rivers. But the Jaguars are that AFC South team just kind of lurking, laying in the weeds. Nobody's talking about them.
Yep.
But you watch them, they're super impressive. I mean, they can run the ball. Now they got a bunch of receivers. I love their tight end, Brenton Strange. Good O-line. Trevor Lawrence over the last month has played very well. Their defense is number one against the run. You know, with the top two seeds maybe being Denver and New England, Jacksonville has a real chance to just kind of sneak in there without anybody really paying attention. And I wouldn't put it past them to go on a playoff run, kind of like they did the last time they had double-digit wins. Last time they had double-digit wins was 2017, Blake Bortles, and they had the lead against Tom Brady and the Patriots in the fourth quarter of the AFC Championship game.
Yep. Well said. Great explanation. How about this? Jacksonville is tied with 23 takeaways. The Jets have 2. They don't have an interception. It's December. The record is 2. Are the Jets going to get an interception? Does that come up? They got to be nuts. I can't believe this stat.
Well, I would have thought that was in the NFL almost statistically impossible.
Yes.
And I'll say this Sunday on CBS, just because of tipped balls,
Right.
and overthrows and just quarterbacks making the wrong read. I mean, it feels like an impossible statistic, but it is true. They have 2 takeaways. One was on special teams.
Right.
So only have 1 on the defensive side of the ball. They're like the opposite of the Jaguars, who, as you mentioned, have 23 takeaways. Now, in fairness to the Jets, I don't know if this makes it better or worse, but last week against the Dolphins, Tua threw them a couple and they didn't catch it. So, like, they've had opportunities to get interceptions. They just haven't been able to do it. Now would be a really good time from a Jets perspective to get a couple turnovers. The thing that's crazy about the Jets is when you look at a lot of their statistics, it actually is surprising that they won 3 games. And the reason why they won 3 games is because at least 2 of them, they're special teams.
Yep.
I mean, they don't beat Cleveland or Atlanta without Williams, their returner, and Nwangwu. You know, these guys are phenomenal, and they've been the biggest reason why the Jets have actually won a couple of those games.
And how the hell did they outscore Joe Flacco and the Bengals 39-38? That was incredible. What is your reaction going to be, you think, on Sunday if they actually do pick off Trevor Lawrence?
I'm going to go crazy. Yeah, I think I'll probably go crazy. It happened. They did it. They accomplished it. I think all Jets fans will as well. It's funny because these are 2 teams, obviously, in very different places. Jacksonville, you know, they have a lot of confidence right now.
Yeah.
They feel like they can go as far as anybody. Meanwhile, the Jets, they're going to be playing a lot of young guys. They're going to see what Brady Cook has. But if you're a Jets fan on some level, you know, the Jags should be a team that you point to. The Jags only won 4 games last year. So the Jags could be a team that you point to and say, listen, you know, if you make a couple of the right moves, you have a chance to go ahead and have a really good season. And obviously, if you can get your quarterback to play well, like the Jags have with Lawrence, and the Jets, I don't know who their quarterback will be next year, but they, you know, you really just don't have a chance unless the guy at that position's playing at a high enough level.
No doubt. Look at the Vikings in recent weeks. Host of the Ross Tucker podcast. You can follow him on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. Can you tell us all about futurefans.com?
Oh, man, you guys will love this one. So every time you guys used to bring me on, I would always tell you about myfrontpagestory.com, which is still the best gift for a loved one, significant other, your mom, your wife for the holidays, myfrontpagestory.com. But I just found out about this futurefans.com. I invested immediately. I don't know if you guys have kids, but it is impossible to get your kid to sit down there and watch a whole game with you. They don't want to do it. It's not like it was when we were growing up.
Yep.
And I would sit there and watch the whole Eagles game with my dad. My daughters, my nephews, they don't want to watch the game. So these guys have cracked the code. I talked to 5 different families who said, yes, she now sits there and watches the whole Bengals game. Or yes, he watches the whole Bears game with me. I thought, okay, we need that. Society needs that. I mean, the leagues know how much of an issue this is. So I love that these guys cracked the code. It's futurefans.com. I think it's $60, but if you go there and put your email in, they'll give you a 20% discount. So for $50, it's like you're giving your 5-year-old or your 7-year-old a Christmas gift. The reality is, guys, you're giving the gift to yourself. You're giving the gift of them watching football with you every Sunday or Monday or whatever, watching your favorite team for years, which is priceless. It's futurefans.com, futurefans.com. Highly, highly recommend it.
Awesome. Ross, you're the best. Love catching up again. Been too long, like you said. Have a great call on Sunday.
Thanks so much, guys, for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, follow him again on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. Up next, road teams 12-3 ATS in this division rivalry since 2017.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
With our best bets in pocket plays coming up in 15 minutes. Right now, Ryan Kramer joins the program. One half of the Sports Gambling Podcast, Friday nights along with Sean Green. You get it at 10 o'clock Eastern time right here on VSiN. Big fan of the show, and he is on the Progressive Guest Line. What's up, Kramer?
What's up, fellas? Hope. Which, by the way, shout out to producer Luke. When this was created, he immediately shot it over to me. Love it. You guys are always on here at the SGPN headquarters on God's Eye.
Okay, very cool. Let's begin with this. I was stating my case. Obviously, you got to look at attacking the Cincinnati defense with tight ends every single time they take the field. I'm on Andrews and Likely. You like Andrews at plus 150. Why?
I mean, a little bit of it may be just narrative. I called myself a donkey on our prop show repeatedly this week for taking the obvious plays, but they give him some money. He's been one of the favorite targets of Lamar around the red zone, and we just saw Likely have that big game against the Bengals a couple weeks ago. And so, like you mentioned, favorite pastime this year is taking anytime touchdowns from the tight end position against the Bengals. You can do so with Mark Andrews here, plus 150. His 2 touchdown is also 10-1. Certainly interesting. We think about these games and all the crazy shootouts, couple 80-point thrillers last year. So, yeah, Mark Andrews to find the end zone seems very obvious this week in a game that, I mean, I don't think anyone expects this one to go under.
Mark Andrews has 14 targets inside the red zone this year, 4 touchdowns. Isaiah Likely only has 7 targets, scored once. How about this? Charlie Kohler has scored twice on 3 targets in the red zone.
11-1 anytime.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Like that.
And he's been a fun one. Kohler, part of the first touchdown formula is identifying and understanding third tight ends who are maybe a little bit more physical than the backup tight end. Maybe they possess a little bit more blocking acumen. And they find themselves on the field a lot. And I got to be honest, like Charlie Kohler is a guy that is being used way more than I expected, coming off of a summer where we saw Isaiah Likely be the star of Tight End University in a year where Tight End University had Taylor Swift performing. So, Charlie Kohler's been a very, very fun anytime play all season.
All right, I'm picking up what you're putting down here. We just had Ross Tucker on. He can't believe it. We're in December. We have 4 games left. The Jets do not have an interception. The record's 2 by the 18 Niners. And there was a muff punt against Atlanta, so technically the defense has 1 takeaway. How about Lawrence not to throw a pick? What a price.
It's amazing. This is being priced still at minus 125. And the other amazing thing that's coming into this game, other than the fact that, as you mentioned, the Jets not able to get a turnover, 0 interceptions, but Trevor Lawrence has had 0 turnover-worthy throws over the last 2 weeks. It seems like this Liam Cohen offense is working it out. And in a game where he's playing a guy named Brady Cook and laying 13.5, 14 points, you would expect maybe a little bit more of this running game. So lower attempts, bad defense that just can't ball hawk. Yeah, I'll just keep picking up. As a buddy of mine who lives across the pond says, you pick money up when you find it on the street.
Yeah, no kidding. So you, again, with the first touchdown props that you give out every single week, you go with 4 guys. A lot of times you're going to go with the, an opposing defense here to score first. Something tells me, like in this game and the Seahawks game, have you bet the first touchdown score yet to be Jacksonville's defense or special teams, Seattle as well? Or have you want to get nuts? Are you betting 2 touchdowns from the defense or the special teams in any of these games?
So I've not played the first in either. But I have every week I like to put together a defensive anytime. So I usually don't mess with the special teams. I find that I prefer the pricing for the defense only. But you nailed it. The Jacksonville Jaguars and the Seattle Seahawks are 2 of the 3 legs in my round robin this week. The other leg is the Saints going against Bryce there and the Panthers. But I love to get this time of the season. I mean, really all season long, I love the defensive touchdowns, but I just love the variance that they bring because they're not only, the pricing is going to be based on perception and what your stats tell you and matchup. And now this week we're plucking 2, very attractive matchups in the Jags and the Seahawks. But in general, I think there's enough pricing variance here that, we've seen it. The defensive touchdowns have been showing up here as the season's gone longer. And yeah, Seattle, Jacksonville, and New Orleans all in my anytime round robin.
Okay, I'm glad you said that then. You specifically only want the defense, not defensive special teams, because it's going to be a much better number.
Generally, the number is big. The difference is great enough. You're probably talking between like 18 and 30% larger. That in most cases, special teams touchdowns, while up this year, generally are even more random than defensive touchdowns. And the handicap I'm usually playing is a fade of the quarterback, a quarterback that gets loose with the ball, an offensive line that's getting beat, that kind of thing anyway. So I'm not really handicapping the special teams into it.
You're going to love this. We got a tweet earlier from Joe. Here his bet for the weekend, well, including one of the games in the college football playoffs. He bet the Seahawks to have 2 defensive or special teams and Oregon against James Madison to have 2+. $20 pays $44,000.
I, as a degenerate gambler, at least advertised as one, I really appreciate when people bring the creativity.
Yes.
That is something that now that I've heard it, you spoke it to me, I almost need to go get a small investment on it just so I don't miss out on the fun.
Damn right. Well said. How about a same game parlay you like? Let's get nuts.
All right. So I know you guys like crazy. So I got real crazy on the podcast earlier this week. So one of the favorite things we like to do is a 2-touchdown bet reverse correlated to the other team's money line. And that's kind of how this bet originated, because I love Mark Andrews this week. So I was like, let me see what the Mark Andrews 2-touchdown with Bengals money line is going to pay. And then I was like, you know what? I love symmetry in these bets. So let's also put in Jamar Chase. He's not going to have a ton of competition. It is chalky, but Chase Andrews, 2 touchdowns each, Bengals money line, that's 80-1. So I was like, this is a nice bet, but I didn't stop there. I also really like the Lions as a live dog against the Rams. Mm-hmm. So I said, hey, Devontae Adams banged up. Let's go Puka Nacua chalk. And let's take Jahmyr Gibbs. He's clearly been the guy since Dan Campbell's taken over the play calling. Again, a little chalky, but Lions money line with those 2 guys to get 2 touchdowns each is 47-1. Love both those bets. Mm-hmm. And like, again, true, I love round robbing everything. I like tying the crazy variants together. You put those 2 items together, and a $25 bet will pay you $97K. It's plus 388-700, as we say on the podcast, Callin' International. That's going to be my big investment this weekend. And as I say it out loud, it does not seem that crazy.
No.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's a strong one. I like that.
The Pitts Evans stuff was staring you right in the face yesterday.
I know.
Oh, God.
Yeah. What do you want to do in this Cardinals game against the Texans? You have something here with Jacoby Brissett?
Yeah, again, I told you I called myself a donkey earlier in the week when I was talking about some of these handicaps, but Jacoby Brissett has gone over 37.5 pass attempts in his past 5 games. And if we all remember, he's in the Hall of Fame now because he had 57 pass attempts, 47 completions against the Niners, but he's had 49, 40, 44 after that. And so I understand they're playing the Texans, but this has become a fantasy football player's dream, this Cardinals team. And in general, they're allowing teams to push because their defense has been playing so bad. They can't run the ball, so they're passing all the time. Jacoby Brissett is just going to drop back, and 40 attempts feels like the right number. If you want to ladder this, go ahead. It's been a pretty profitable proposition over the past 5 weeks, but I'm just going to play the 37.5. You can still get it out there at minus 115. Again, sometimes I feel like the odds makers don't watch the games.
Very good. So coming up tonight with Sean Green, what for people listening or watching this show right now and have never watched you guys or listened to you guys, what kind of show do you put on?
Well, yeah, like you mentioned, we like to show off our TDs. We like having friends and family join the program. CJ Sullivan will give out some fun ladder bets. We'll talk about totals. And then because football is king, we'll break down every game in the National Football League this week.
Very good. You can also follow Ryan on X. He puts out all of his first touchdown scores, by the way, every single week for the primetime games at Kramer Centric. Ryan, great spot, man. Thanks so much. Best of luck this weekend.
Same to you guys. Cheers.
Back at you. There you go. On the Progressive Guest Line, that shows at 10 o'clock Eastern Time every Friday night, right here on VSiN.
First any many is a great prop.
I love that.
A great segment, a great idea.
It is, yep. So Andrews 2 touchdowns, Jamar Chase 2 touchdowns, Bengals win 80-1. Lions money line, Gibbs 2 touchdowns, Nakua 2 touchdowns, 47-1. He combined those, $25 pays $97,000. Get all three.
The stuff that hit last night, absolutely.
Right. And as he said,
those are stronger case than what you saw last night and how that turned out. You would think, come on, look at the quarterbacks that are involved in those games, and you were relying on Cousins last night.
Like, what do you think? And books will allow you to do this, obviously. Falcons money line, Pitts 100 yards. I'll go 2 touchdowns, not 3. I don't want to get too crazy here. Yeah. Evans 100 yards and a score. That had to be 100-1.
Yeah,
it had to be.
I mean, let's think about Pitts Evans to combine for $250. Think about what that paid.
Right. All right, we're going to run it down next. Our best bets for the weekend in pocket plays coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.